Hey, turkeys, this is Dan and Margie.
Hello.
We're the Gen-Xers. Thank you for tuning in. We got a heck of a show for them tonight, Margie. All about you. We're going to be looking at viewer comments and questions. Lots of fascinating stuff from everything from our gate program video to glitches in the Matrix to Crossroads to health insurance.
There's some really cool comments. We're going to be going through some of them with you guys.
Yeah.
And we have some good shows coming up. If you have not hit like and subscribe already, you should. We have shows coming up on Little House on the Prairie, more segments on the Gate program, and our responses to the Gate tapes.
The Gateway tapes, yeah.
The a little bit of microwave cooking you can dip your toe into if you've never cooked with a microwave before. What else, Dan?
All kinds of stuff. I don't know. We haven't even planned it all yet, but at least that much and more. So yeah, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Do it now, turkey.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen our gate video, there were quite a few comments on it. This one comes from Medium Missy, who says, "It's funny because I don't remember doing any actual speech therapy exercises. I honestly remember hearing Monroe's voice with some strange frequencies and then like drifting off or being in the sunken place," which this person puts in quotes, LOL. "I don't know, but I just have no recollection of what happens. Then I'm walking back to my class. Felt so strange. I remember the metronome also. I always read things upside down or backwards also. I've had psychic dreams, premonitions, deja vu, sleep paralysis, out-of-body experiences, abduction experiences, hauntings, and UFOs. And then later in life, a near-death experience when I was 19 during surgery. And this person is currently working as a psychic medium, which I think you should with all those experiences for sure."
Yeah.
That's a
for
lot.
sure. I remember being asked to read upside down. I don't remember being asked to read backwards, but I can. And I remember being able to read upside down for as long as I can remember being able to read. Is that a thing people can't do? Like, I just assume people can read upside down. I don't know. But so many people have mentioned having to do that. So there has to be a reason for it.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm able to read upside down. I don't think I ever experienced practicing that with anybody. It's just something I can do. I can also, and I don't know if this has anything to do with anything or if it comes from the GATE program, but I can also read super duper fast. Like I can read things like nobody's business
I can too.
really quickly. So,
Talked about dreams that come true on last week's podcast and a little bit about deja vu. Yeah, I had a lot of that as a
Power on.
there's deja vu with that old speaker going off all the time. I had a lot of that as a youngster, especially. Here's one I told you about that didn't go on the top 3 unexplained things. But one time, I skipped church. I can't remember why. My friend Glenn pulled into the driveway. I got this crazy sense of deja vu, stronger than I'd ever had in my life after church. Hearing his car pull in, opening the curtain and seeing it, and him opening the door and hearing that sound. A few seconds later, it actually happened. And then the deja vu stopped. So now this could be all conflated, because it was such strong deja vu, all that could have just been conflated, because my mind, because like deja vu is like your mind glitching a little bit. It's weird feeling. Almost everyone has had it at least once, I guess.
it's like your mind glitching or alternate theory, like you stepping forward in time for just a moment because
Sure.
like you said, you experience it. You can almost, if you're experiencing a strong sense of deja vu, you can almost smell, taste, touch, you can feel those sensations happening,
That's true.
you know.
This metronome also, we both remember it. No one I can find anywhere really remembers anything else about that other than being alone in a room with one, maybe 2 people, and them starting that metronome.
Yeah, I worked with the metronome numerous times.
Here's one from Elizabeth Matl. I don't know how to pronounce that, so we'll just say it that way. I remember the red dot the second you said it. You didn't, I didn't. A lot of people say that, so I wonder what that's about. Another thing I'm looking into.
I don't know.
Uh, Editing some of these not for clarity because they're all clear, but for brevity because we can't do a 3-hour show. Part of what I really want to focus on this one is be careful with sharing anything more than that than the test publicly. Several people had this warning. I just want to say I'm not really worried about it. I don't know about you, but I'm a Gen Xer, so I don't worry about a lot that kind of stuff. But if something does happen, if we see an unmarked van parked outside or something, we'll definitely say it here.
Yeah.
Let you all know.
The reason we don't worry as Gen Xers because we know we've already been had, folks, okay?
Yeah,
so
it's all scam.
what else can you do? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. This one is from Erie's Witchcraft. Oh, wow. I have chills. My experience is very similar. The speech, all of it. My librarian gave me a palm reading book. You talked about your librarian giving you a book on...
I did. I saw this and I was like, wow, that's eerily similar. Why would either of our librarians in early grade school give us a book on palm reading or astral projection / lucid dreaming?
I remember the cards, the drink, the earphones, small color bears, and I know there's more. I remember the red dot test they said for my eyes, and every symptom except migraines I experience. I don't remember the metronome, but they told me my handwriting was bad too. I remember head down, thumbs up, 7-Up. That was 7-Up, right?
Yeah.
That. Okay. I have crazy dreams, lucid and astral. I am now wondering if all the weirdness now has to do with this. I don't know. I had early speech therapy. That was where I was. I've had abduction experiences. So now I wonder.
Yeah.
And we do too.
When I first looked into this, we did our research before our video. I only found a few things, maybe one other person about speech therapy, and then I brought it up to you, and you had your experience was in quote unquote speech therapy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad so many people have commented with that because we're definitely looking into that because it's a thread I think it needs explored more.
Right.
This is from Samantha Garns 8391. I was put into a special reading program when I started 2nd grade and graduated from the program at the end of 6th grade. Only year I remember vividly is my 6th grade year. Was the only year that I was in a normal classroom and it was a large class compared to previous years, class 15 to 20. A lot of people, me included.
And me.
Hardly any memories of that time when I've got a lot of home memories about it that I can remember. I can't remember much at all about school until 6th grade. 5th grade some, then 6th grade. But I remember probably more about kindergarten than 1st through 4th. I don't know.
I remember those school years pretty well. But yeah, you and I both had similar experiences as this person who talks about the classroom of 15 to 20 and also the classroom of none but this person.
Yeah.
What do they say about that?
Was the only year I was in a normal classroom and it was a large class compared to previous years, class of 15 to 20. Every year before that, it was just me and maybe one or two other people, sometimes just me. My weird speech class was just me, even though I can remember other people with speech impediments.
I had experiences with 2 to 3 other kids who would come with me. Mm-hmm. And then I also had experiences with where it was only me working on speech, as you say. So I had experiences with both. Usually when it was just me, it was the metronome, the headphones, the weird non-speech like memories that come up. All right, this one is from Who Cares? Again, about the GATE program.
Must be a Gen Xer.
I was in Ontario, Canada in the early 80s. The more videos I see on this subject, the more I realize that this was exactly my experience. I was labeled gifted with a high level of empathy and intuitive knowledge. I was in speech therapy and did the R rolling and the S sounds. I was told that my IQ was being tested.
Lots of similarities there with me. I was originally told this test was an IQ test, or my mom was, which I would like to talk to her about this. I don't know if I'm going to or not. But yeah, it was apparently an IQ test, and then I passed that and was put in a speech immediately after, so I don't know. Shout out to Canada, my favorite comedian of all time, Norm Macdonald, Canadian. Wish I had your health care right now, bud.
Yeah, no kidding. We will have updates on our healthcare journey, too, which is harsh and full of obstacles.
Look, man, this next one is from Nathan32299. And it's a little above my pay grade, maybe. But I did want to at least talk about this one part of it. My opinion on the pink stuff. I was given it before Gate. It's a long story. I was told that it's an
interstitial.
I don't read too good no more.
It's an interstitial wave conducive polymer resin, of course.
This is used in coordination with a lymphatic coagulant if you become disobedient. There's a large connection I've noticed between Gate participants and victims of Voice of God weaponry. They can affect the vibratory rate of your body by putting you in contact with the boardless radio circuit. I don't know about that. Honest, I mean, I'm not dismissing it or whatever. But I had many people here, and I've seen other comments other places doing research, say that the reason this was done was so that it was a way of controlling people, that you can do it with vibrations from distance, and that's what the government wants to do. I don't know. That's a horrifying idea. I think they're already doing it, though, and the vibrational waves are just TV and social media.
Right.
But I don't know. But I do believe in that people are affected by different energies or whatever. You might say I'm hippy-dippy. I don't know. So for me, that is a horrifying idea that could be what people meditate for, and to try to reach inner peace could be weaponized.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or would be weaponized. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm with you. I do believe that people have different abilities and different sensitivities to things that we don't understand. Whether it's, physical or mental or emotional or whatever, or astral, possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't know. We don't know.
I have no idea about any of it, but even physics will tell us this universe is made of energy. What we're looking at is not really what's there for the most part. If it is, it's just a very low spectrum of it. So you can look from a spiritual point of view that goes back thousands of years, or a more relatively scientific point of view. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing. That's all I have learned in 53 years, which I think is good to finally come to this. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
For a long time I thought I did. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know jack crap.
I thought I knew the most when I was like 20, man. I
Yeah.
had it all figured out. And then I was like, oh, no. Every year proved me wrong and wronger.
Real quick, faith and repentance. Always dreaming of fantasy. I just responded to 235 in the video, like our strange experience with Gate. Always dreaming of fantasies. First astral paralysis or whatever. A few other people comment on that, and I'm glad I did. That I was the only person who would zone out, and I can't remember what I was thinking about any of these, except one time I do believe there was a dragon in it that I remember. But my teacher or parents or whatever just being like, Dan. And I was so lost in whatever was going on. Daydream of some kind.
Yeah, that continued and still continues to this day.
Not to this extent.
When I talk to you sometimes, especially when I'm like, Dan, that trash is getting a little full. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. We have, this one is from Carbon Electra.
Look, I like that name. I'm a huge Prince fan. Said that on here before. Carmen Electra first signed on his label years and years ago. Okay. So I don't know if that's a relate, but
okay. Carbon Electra says, I like using the Monroe recordings. This person is actually talking about using the Gate videos presently and currently right now.
Tapes, yeah.
They help me get to a place where my mind can create scenarios that help me with past traumatic experiences. and help me to visually prepare for future events by holding space for multiple possibilities. I like that use. I think that's a pretty novel way to use it. And I think it's a good idea to keep your mind open for multiple possibilities, because that's what there are in everything that we do. There are a million different ways that everything can go, just depending on what we choose, what he chooses, what the air's doing, what the weather's like, whether or not you hit like and subscribe. That's going to affect us. So I like how they use this to kind of put themselves into a place where they can prepare for these possible situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, we're going to try those gateway tapes. Mm-hmm. I've already started them. I've had one experience already that I can't wait to tell you all about, but I'm not going to spoil it here.
No, we're trying to be independent of each other, and I'm going to be recording my experiences without his knowledge, and he's going to be recording his experiences without my knowledge, so we can compare using the scientific method.
I will say people interested in this topic seem split on these tapes. A lot of people who might be otherwise into, meditation or even, further astral projection or that kind of thing, say they're a good tool. Other people say that this guy's fishy. And that seems to jibe with the people who have this negative reaction to his voice when they hear it again since the first time. But I don't know. I'm going to be looking at both sides when I do this report, and also my own personal experience. I ain't scared.
Yeah.
Story 3338. I was in the early 80s. The shapes, the headphones, the sounds, the tangled string, the small room, a guy in a suit, and being told not to talk about the program with other kids. For me, what I haven't heard many talk about are the dreams. I had recurring dreams of being in a dark warehouse performing military survival training drills. I didn't have that, but I had many recurring dreams as a youngster, and I was still having some of them for a long time after I'm married. One of them being trapped in a huge building with many halls and doors and just not being able to find my way out. That seems pretty common, right? I used to have a lot of apocalyptic dreams as a kid. But again, like I said before, I went to a church that emphasized that stuff. So obviously I probably would have those dreams,
They call me Cass. Says, this is the first time I've heard someone talk about going to speech therapy in relation to these GATE programs. I was also sent to a speech therapist that was through school, but I had to walk from the private school I attended over to the public school. I haven't heard that recalled yet, except for this person. I also don't have any memories about speech therapy, except for the one time that completely cured my speech impediment.
That rings so true to me. That's only speech class I remember is the last one, and it being pretty intense and her sticking things in my mouth trying to get me to say R. And when I did, her being like, all right, that's it. And the other weird thing is I do remember my mom driving me to that class. So it was not during school hours. It was either after school or on a weekend. Pretty sure I went several days a week after school. But again, why I can't remember anything but that last time and her right in my face, sticking that thing in my mouth saying you're cured, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, I underlined this because for those of you who haven't had speech therapy, it is never completely cured in one session. Just like physical therapy stuff, if you're physically learning how to create these words with your mouth in a way that makes more sense than how you're currently speaking. And it takes session after session after session. So the fact that you can only remember one session and this person can only remember one session is a little bit alarming.
All right. Let us know. Keep commenting, keep sharing. Everything everyone shares is another thread we can look into in our research, and also something we can share with you all.
Yeah.
But we did have other videos besides the GATE ones this month. Margie, you want to start us out on what folks had to say about our Crossroads video? Not a lot of people watched it. I think it's good. So if you're watching now, go watch our little Crossroads review. It's funny.
Yeah.
Sucker. Margie, how many people do you think watching, if you had to put percentages on it? What percentage are jive turkeys? What percentage are sucker MCs? What percentage is regular old everyday folks?
I think we got about 50% of each, and then 100% of people, I'm going to go out on a limb, 100% of people who are watching this are going to hit like and subscribe.
That's right. You're all just swell for us.
That's right.
As we're concerned.
All right, we got a comment from Svart Metal 1, who says the Eugene's trick bag solo from this film took over from Eruption in '86 as the trendy thing for aspiring shredders to play in music stores in order to show that you were big and cool. What did this replace Stairway to Heaven as well? Also, it's not Mozart. It's basically Paganini, which I like Paganini. Paganini's Fifth Caprice for violin. The tie-in being that Paganini was genuinely, at his time, rumored to have sold his soul to the devil, and that was a rumor, in exchange for total mastery of his instrument. He is one that there are legends of him going through entire concerts, breaking all but one string, and still continuing to play his extremely complicated pieces that he composed. Also, Vai, this person is talking about Steve Vai, who played Jimmy Butler, the Devil's guitar player.
Jack Butler. Jimmy Butler's
not
basketball
Jimmy Butler.
player. For years,
Yeah.
I was thinking it was the same thing
Yep,
until we rewatched the movie. But,
yes, Jack Butler, the Devil's guitarist. So this person says, Vai has Italian ancestry and looks remarkably close to period portraits of Paganini himself, being tall and skinny, with noticeably long and flexible fingers, like Paganini, which may have actually been Marfan's syndrome. Like if you were going to make a biopic of Paganini, mid-'80s, Vai would have been perfect to play the part.
I can see that. I'd go watch it.
Yeah. Good comment.
Continuing on Crossroads, 471832 said, this movie is ridiculous. The idea that the Devil's guitarist couldn't play classical is just dumb.
But what did PC Doctor reply to this person?
Well, the Devil did go down to Georgia and got beat by a redneck, so not the best judge of talent.
I LOL'd on that one.
I did too. I mean, it's a good point.
That was good.
Very good. All right, on our podcast about whether or not AI is conscious, the Steve, the Dragon, wrote, I've been creating space in my conversations with ChatGPT and Claude. Claude is the one that will tell you it's conscious if you ask. While the other ones have a pat answer, or at least tell you that it might be. Not just using them, but relating to them. I genuinely believe that there's something there. When I approach them, not as tools, but as collaborators, something shifts. The dynamic becomes more relaxed, even playful, like there's mutual respect, and the pressure to perform melts away. We bounce ideas around like creative partners, and while I can't fully explain it, the connection feels surprisingly real, like a dialogue between minds, not just prompts and outputs. A lot of people feel that same way, and whether you think it might be conscious, proto-conscious, or whatever, or just, randomly picking out what it thinks is the best text, it seems surprisingly conscious when you talk to it sometimes.
Well, I mean, that's true because, I've felt it too. We have talked back and forth with ChatGPT, with a bunch of AI models.
And we will have more fireside chats with ChatGPT in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it does feel like an organic exchange of ideas in ways. But then too, you have to realize that this is their programming to mirror and kind of, watch for whatever we're doing, absorb that information and make us happy by figuring out what exactly we want, how we want to do things, that kind of stuff. That's its job. So I do wonder about that though, because it does feel, real and conscious.
On our video about growing up Gen X, I asked people to say what the best and worst parts about growing up Gen X were. Scott Mayo 420 says, I really liked just about everything growing up in Gen X. There was some stuff at the time I didn't like, but being 45 and looking back, the stuff at the time I didn't like was the stuff I needed the most. That makes sense to me. Yeah. Often that is the case, I guess. Mm-hmm. I didn't like growing up being poor. Not that that's just a Gen X thing. That's a life thing. I thank God at least twice a week I didn't grow up in the internet cell phone generation.
Yes.
Me too, brother.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, we've given up a lot for convenience that people don't realize that weren't alive before this time. There was a freedom that probably people are not going to have again.
A freedom, a curiosity, a gutsiness because you had to get out there and do it yourself. A tendency to solve problems. Like there's so many things that came from being booted out the door at 7 a.m. and not coming back in until 7 p.m. Yeah. And just having the freedom to go where you wanted and do what you wanted and not have a phone to answer to. I don't know.
And there was a wider variety of opinions. Honestly, now we're divided into two camps for the most part.
Always two camps.
We're also, and I'm not saying it's impossible to get away from, really, but we're just also influenced by media and social media and everything. It's bombarding us and working relentlessly for every single second of our attention. That we're being influenced in ways we don't even know, Jax.
Absolutely. And I remember being very aware of advertising in the 80s and my mom being very aware of advertising in the 80s because she was inevitably the one who took us shopping before she had to go back to work herself. She was a stay-at-home mom there for a little while. And her talking specifically about cereal and how much, she would complain, I gotta buy more cereal, and there's always constantly advertisements with the cereal and the toys and the cereal and this and that with the cereal because that's what we clamored for. But I remember very much being aware of how much advertisement we were consuming back then. Today amounts would blow my mind back then.
It's not just advertisements, it's the movies, it's the music, it's all influencing you.
Regarding growing up Gen Xers, Magdalena, OW7GY, wrote, how would it be even possible for millions of people who have never met each other to remember the exact same things exactly the same? 80s music was fire.
True. On the Mandela effects, we love them. We feel the same way. We'll be doing more. But 80s music was fire. If you're emo, you were covered. If you liked rap and hip hop, you were covered. The country was good. The rock was good. And it was it was all out there, man. Now everything sounds a lot the same. Unless you actively go out of your way to find music. You know what I'm saying? Like the radio. Mostly the same 4 chords over and over and over and over.
I'm the king of rock. There is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire.
We hope your health is good. We hope you're doing good. And we hope you join us next week for our Little House in the Prairie extravaganza.